This podcast replay is brought to you by East Coast Public Adjusters. And folks, there's only 9 months left to reopen that IRMA claim. Get that free inspection. Don't settle for less. Call East Coast Public Adjusters, 855-GET-ECPA. That's 855-GET-ECPA.
We'll get to Zach now, and you can follow him on Twitter, by the way, at Akron Jackson. He is the Browns beat writer for The Athletic. Zach, good morning, my brother. How are you doing?
I'm better than Freddie Kitchens. How are you?
Yeah. But wait a minute. Hold on a second. All right, Freddie's kind of struggling, right? But the report is that they're not going to make a change in the offseason, so maybe at least he'll save his job for now. Are you believing any of that?
Well, that report was Sunday morning, and that report was always going to be at least partially irresponsible because this is the Browns, and this is what happened. The looks on the faces of the head coach, the assistant coach, and many of the players after Sunday said differently. Now, it's John Dorsey and the owner who are going to make the call. Only saw them briefly during and after the game. We don't know. And, you don't want to you don't want to pull the plug, right? The Haslam was on the team for 7 years. This would be the second one-and-done coach. And even beyond that, you don't get any better in the short term when you change everything, right? You lose players.
Right.
You have to restart with things. It's a hassle. But this has been bad on many levels. And honestly, if I laid out a case for Freddie, there's nothing to say that he should be back other than he was a first-year coach and that you want to grow your operation. There is not one thing he's done during games. There's not one thing he's done during the course of the season that I can point to anyway. As someone who's there almost every day that says, hey, this just needs. It's obviously an immature team, and it's been a bad organization for a long time. So you would like to say, just grow together. But, you're supposed to be playing for something. You have enough talent to be playing for something. And just the lack of consistency and the lack of attention to detail is, for me to tell you it's alarming, is not even doing it justice.
No, I'm with you. Now, the question is, I feel the same way you do. I don't see anything that says why you should keep him. The key is, Zach, how do the guys feel in the locker room? Is there confidence? Because that's the part that I don't get. I don't get the confidence from guys in that locker room that they believe they've got the guy leading them that will get them out of any issue that they're at.
Well, they certainly didn't play like it Sunday, right?
No.
So you're 100% right with that. Now, before that, they were on a stretch of 4-1 football. And before that, going back to the Monday night disaster, which I believe was the first weekend of October, so about going on 10 weeks ago now, right? They had played much better. Even in games they had lost, they had been much better than they were over most of the first month of the season. Now, the first month of the season included the win of the year in the NFL. They blew the Ravens out of their own stadium. The Ravens haven't lost since. The Browns followed that with a 4-game losing streak. But, yeah, when you talk about the locker room and you talk about malcontents, you talk about immaturity coming through, you talk about head-scratching episodes with Myles Garrett, with Jermaine Whitehead, a starter, getting cut for tweeting death threats in full uniform after a game. You talk about the ongoing saga of Odell Beckham. You talk about Jarvis Landry, who plays as hard as anyone and is aware of anyone doing what he's done with Freddie in front of TV cameras, knowing damn well that stuff's going to get caught, right?
Right.
Signs would point to the locker room not being on board, and as you pointed out, that probably is as big a factor in anything in a decision that has to be made here in a couple of weeks.
That's and to me that's what really stands out, and that's why look, you're in the rock and the hard place because we have seen it here in Miami too, Zach, where you're constantly changing coaches and it affects your team and it sets you back and you're never making that step forward. But if you keep the wrong person in place, then what you do is you bury your football program even deeper into the abyss. So it's kind of a catch-22 because I saw it with Joe Philbin. Joe Philbin was terrible, and yet at the end of the season he wins this meaningless game against Minnesota. And it inspires the owner to give him a one-year extension, which you're sitting there going, don't you see what everybody else sees, that the guy is not the guy?
Yeah.
And so that's the catch that your owner is in now, that he can't, there's no way he can win either way. You're going to set your team back if you keep him, and you're going to set your team back if you fire him.
I agree with you. I mean, every team comes out of nowhere with a great game, and every team lays an egg, right? I mean, it just no one goes undefeated in this league.
Right.
So if you lay out like the meaningful games, I mean, the Browns when they blew out the Ravens, that was in September. That was a super meaningful game, and obviously it looks better every week as the Ravens continue to do this. But you look, this is 4 games they've lost by double digits. They haven't won a road game since then. They did beat the Steelers the first time, which was huge for them and the whole program. But the second time around, not only did they lose to Duck freaking Hodges, but Demarius Randall wasn't there. He was not taken on the trip for attitude issues by the coaching staff. And that's just a reflection of immaturity. It points to why the Packers gave him away a year ago. But then you add that to all these other things and all these other players with some level of talent and accomplishment that have fallen out of the mix.
Right.
And eventually the coaching staff has to get these guys right? Like, this is why you pay them a lot of money. This is why you have 25 coaches on staff, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a bad mix, but it's in the meaningful moments, not only have they not delivered, but it's been bad. A total no-show in Arizona when your playoff hopes were theoretically and mathematically alive. They were slim, but they were alive. And you come to Arizona, who hadn't won since October 20th, and you get blown out of the building.
How you feeling about Baker Mayfield right now?
Well, I feel like 2020 is a huge year for Baker Mayfield. 2019 has been a complete disaster. He captivated the city. He gave the organization hope, and he did really play well for much of 2018. And he didn't play perfectly, but when you talk about a rookie, he played really well by any standard, right? And the numbers are down. His mechanics suck. It's been bad. So, obviously he's still a young quarterback. He needs coached up. He needs experience. Is it just coaching? Is the Odell dynamic that bad? It's been a failure every year, or every way this year for Baker. And, even a couple of weeks ago, I was like, look, guys, they're not going to make the playoffs, but as long as Baker can get through healthy, play a little bit well, just get some confidence and really something to build upon going forward to be good. And he's averaging 5 or so per attempt. He got picked in the red zone the other day. He's not his normal accurate self, and it's bad. So how do I feel? I feel worried. I'm not saying it's over for him, but I feel really worried. And the other thing is, this is personal. He just lost to Cliff and Kyler. We know his history with those guys.
Right.
And now on Sunday he plays against the MVP, who was the 32nd pick of the draft, that he was the first pick in. So it's not gone well. It's not going well. We just have to see if he can bounce back next year and be who the Browns thought he could be, obviously, when they took him with the number 1 pick.
Zach Jackson joining us, of course, from The Athletic, covers the Browns on a daily basis. You can follow him on Twitter at Akron Jackson. And, Zach, I got a long question for you because I got to explain it a little bit to you. One, I wasn't a big Baker Mayfield believer. I didn't think he should have been chosen at 1. I thought he was a late first-rounder, second-round type project guy. Having said all that, so you know where I'm coming from, okay? Baker struggles. I'll give you an example. You just said this week they're playing the 32nd quarterback taken in the draft, Lamar Jackson, who is kicking ass. Now, I don't believe Lamar Jackson is a great quarterback or a great passer. I think they have him throwing only a couple of routes, and they're using his legs, obviously, but they've been really smart in the way they've designed the offense to cater to his strengths, whether it's running or passing, and they're making him look a lot better than probably what he really is. But again, coaching, assisting. Now, I look at Baker, and even though I'm not a believer, I could say he still could play better if they had better coaching. Example, a couple weeks ago, you're running Chubb like crazy. When you run Chubb a lot, and they are dedicated to the run in the Browns, okay? And I don't watch them every day, every moment like you do, but from what I've seen, if you run those guys and you run Chubb and you make the running game the focal point of the offense and let Baker play off of that with play action, he is at his strength. That's where he's at. If you're now going to make him carry the offense and have to throw the ball a whole bunch of times, that's not who he is. And so how much of it is it coaching that could put him in a better position? And am I right or wrong when I'm describing when the Browns are not dedicated to the run compared to when they're dedicated to the run?
Well, you're 100% on with the run thing. I mean, this is a power run team. Nick Chubb is as gifted as any back that there is, and he's having a great year. And there is nothing wrong. I mean, only the head coach, who's the play caller, seems to think there's anything wrong with letting them run throughout the pass or set up the pass,
okay.
right? To your larger point, I think you're mostly right. I was exactly with you. I could not believe they took him number one. He started to win me over with two things. Just dead-eye accuracy, which always matters. And when the offense flowed last year, he was not ever forcing it to one guy. He was going through his progressions and taking what was open, like a fourth or fifth year quarterback really starting to come on. So I was able to say, like, okay, he's certainly not ever going to be Patrick Mahomes, right, from a gift standpoint.
Right.
But man, if you are just accurate in this league, you just take what's there, like you can win a lot of games. And this year, his accuracy has taken a huge jump or a huge dive, and it's not even in the numbers. It's in passes where guys caught in a position to get 5 more yards, 15 more yards, right? He just, everything, he's not sure of anything. And much of that is play calling, it's coaching, it's the offensive direction. So, do I think different coaching with a reset of things and a dedication to run first team, throw off play action, throw off RPOs, just let him hit underneath guys and let them go. He can be good, sure. But man, it's scary. Like I went back a few weeks ago and did the numbers on a lot of quarterbacks whose names we know, and in their second year, and they were mostly taking a leap. I mean, some of them had slumps and then they bounced back. Some of them were just okay, but his numbers right now trend towards guys that have not made it in this league, or at least have not made it into that tier of 8 or 12 guys that we really think can win the Super Bowl. So I'm totally not writing him off because we've seen him do it. Small sample size, sure. We've seen him do it. And by it, I mean the accuracy and the poise of a guy playing a winning game, a 100 quarterback rating game, a 300-yard game, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. But the turnovers and just not hitting guys who are either wide open or not hitting them in stride and giving them a chance to make plays has been alarming. And, if you talk about a potential coaching search, and I think there will be one, it's almost like you're short-handed again because you almost have to take an offensive guy because this is your franchise. You took him number one, right?
Right.
It has to be a guy to save Baker Mayfield. And maybe save is too strong. Maybe it's help. Maybe it's correct. Maybe it's factory reset, like your iPhone, right? But it almost has to be about that because any other decision would be head scratching.
Zach, what happens with Odell? Because it seems like it's reared its ugly head again. This petulant child is not happy, and looks like he never is. And whether he's asking off or his buddy Jarvis Landry doesn't believe it, where do you stand here? What happens with Odell?
Well, there's obviously a reason the Giants were willing to get rid of him 8 months after signing him to 65 guaranteed, right? And there's just no precedent for that. So if I was the Browns, I would not try to salvage it. I honestly would take my mid-round pick that I could get for him, and I would move along with different receivers. The Browns need grown-ups, and the Browns need guys who football is first in their life. Odell is not going to change. He's not. He's proven it for a long time. This is not a guy that just showed up. He's an incredible talent. He's a smart guy, and he can make incredible plays. But I just don't think you win with Odell Beckham, and I don't think the Browns should try.
Good stuff as always. Follow him on Twitter. One of the best handles on Twitter, Akron Jackson, baby. He is Zach Jackson from The Athletic. Zach, as always, man, you're a stud. Thank you for coming through.
My pleasure. Talk to you soon.
You got it, baby. Be good. There you go. Zach Jackson, man. Good stuff there. And Odell's one of those guys. It happens, man. It happens in this league, and it happens all the time. There are guys that have amazing talent, and they just don't know how to put it together and be competent professionals. You know, it's just because you've got the gift from the good Lord, you got to be able to use it the right way, and that's sad that this is a guy that just doesn't get it, and I don't think ever will get it. And by the way.